hammer of, oh my God, or hammer, mother of God. What's up, Internet? Taking a more in-depth look at the Hammer of God, mainly because my last video was a live unboxing, not really kind of a easily digestible video, and I haven't even taken the time to go back and kind of really look at it. We're just going to kind of dive right in and see what I think about the spinner now that I've had it for a little while. So, honestly, I don't even know if I looked at that Hammer of God video since I uploaded it and did the unboxing, so I'm not sure what I said in there, what I'll be repeating, but we got a heavy spinner here, 118 grams, 4.19 ounces, 420 ounces. So it's a heavy spinner. It's kind of a big spinner. Let's do this. Let's get all this stuff out. Let's get all the, oops. Sorry, guys. It's got all the fun toys. Yeah, get the calipers out. Right, so at its widest, we're looking at about 58 millimeters. The arms are 24, 25 millimeters. The height is 10, 11. The buttons are 18. The height is 15. Sweet, that was fun, right? Tools and toys. Gotta get your toys, right, guys? So let's talk about this guy. So it has the bearing that came in it still. It's a hybrid ceramic from who knows where, but it's from VC EDC. And it's a really, really smooth bearing. I think I need to clean this one again because spin time's dropped a little bit, but I found that with all these flat sides, when you're trying to do really high spins, I think at the high speeds where you really need to maintain those speeds, it just isn't aerodynamic enough and slows itself too much. So at slow speeds, right, it wants to spin and spin and spin. And you can tell it's a little unbalanced here. You see that, like, how its speed picks up. And it's not too bad, right? It doesn't feel, I don't feel like a lot of wobble in it. Again, it's just my hand shaking. I don't feel a lot of wobble in it. But when you hold it and you, oops, right, you see how the arms want to swing down like that? That tells you that this arm is too heavy. If you wanted to fix that, you could, you know, just take a little sandpaper, sand the edge until that arm stops swinging down. But we're neither here nor there. I also did obviously take the time to polish this guy up. If you can tell, it does have some fingerprints on it. And let me tell you guys, this was a mother to polish. By far the worst one I've had to polish, and I didn't even get the finish that great in a lot of places. Like, there's still some of that machining in here, so it's still got a little bit brushed, even though it's definitely more mirror than it was. The edges, the metal and the brass, in some places when you were sanding it, you could see that the stainless steel was definitely a little higher, so it took a lot longer to sand this down flat to get it even with the brass. So it was just a lot of like sanding like this and getting in all these angles and all these flat surfaces. Let me tell you, flat surfaces kind of suck to sand and polish because you have to get kind of it even across the whole thing, right? So like where it rounds, you can see that real nice, but in that flat surface, it's just a lot of really specific sanding and just sucked. It took a long time, and the results aren't as great as they were on, say, my Triton V2. So yeah, but still happy I polished it, still like the look of it. But this guy, how is she to spin? How does this guy hold up how does it stand up to the test of time now that I've had it for a little while? I actually like reaching for this guy and carrying it. Despite having, you know, and it definitely came down a little bit since I've sanded it, like these corners got a little softer, but there wasn't a lot of hot spots on this guy at the end of the day. If you're spinning it real hard and stopping it hard, yeah, you're going to feel some of those edges. But a lot of times, the way I'm grabbing it on the side here, it feels pretty good. It's got a good weight, so there's a good gyroscopic effect. This bearing is really, really smooth. I was surprised at how smooth this bearing is. It's like right up there with you know, kind of like that one step below a one drop, like, you know, the Hex super bearings and the stealth bearings. Like, it's really smooth, does not make a lot of noise. Not quite one drop smooth, but I don't think this guy needs to be one drop smooth. You want to feel a little bit of this guy. But this is a nice nice spinner. I'm really enjoying the spins in this guy, the gentle pulls. I find if I like the gentle pulls, I really enjoy a spinner. Again, most of my spinning is, let me just flick it as hard as I can. Jam on it. Get some. Get back in your cage. But if I do those gentle pulls and slow it down gently, just kind of gentle fidgeting, if I enjoy that, that tells me I've got something that I really like. Arms are long enough for 2 finger spins, which feel really satisfying. And it just looks good. You know, you can set it down on the table. It looks good like that. You can stand it up like this, which I think is really cool too, being able to stand it up on one arm and get kind of like a little Y effect as it stands up. So especially since I work at a desk, having this guy, being able to set it down, playing around with it, it doesn't make a lot of noise on a table spin because the bearing's really smooth. This button is really nice too. So despite the side being too smooth, to be honest, not giving a lot of grip, reminds me of the Stealth Aventador buttons that came on it without the laser. This laser etch going on here gives you just enough grip. It doesn't matter which finger you have it on. I do prefer that on my thumb, but it's just enough grip so that it kind of offsets. If both of them were slippery, it would be a problem. But I find that having this on my thumb is where I prefer to have that. And yeah, it's just got a really good, satisfying spin. You know, the tough thing with reviewing spinners too is that so much of a spinner is what you feel, and it's a different, you know, it's hard to get into words and to express and to understand until you have it in your hands. So what I'm trying to convey to you, you know, you really just can't appreciate until you get it. But if you like big, heavy spinners, yeah, this guy is still easy to push and get going. So despite the increased mass, especially if you've been using spinners a little while, you've probably got some of those, some of that muscle memory and some of the muscles figured out where you can get a heavy spinner up to speed without feeling, you know, like you really have to work for it. This definitely isn't like a first spinner. Oh, I'm thinking about getting my first spinner. Don't get a Hammer of God. You know, get something like a little Zen Duo. Get something like a Zentri. Get a Spinetic X. You know, get a Very Dapper. And you know, once you kind of get a feel for some of those things, then look into something like this. This isn't my first spinner, but it is a really nice spinner. It just reeks of quality everywhere, and for the price, I think they go for $60. I think that's right, and then you can get discount codes at, I'm pretty sure Spinetic sells them. I did get mine from VC EDC. They were doing a good discount shortly after it came out, and I think I mentioned that. But it feels quality, especially polishing it. I didn't really see much machine issues, sort of like I did with the Triton and the Biton, where just on some of the chamfer, some of the edges, the machining just looked a little inconsistent. This one looked really well, so I think this is a really great form factor for them, and it's really unique having sort of like these, you know, hammer style arms. Not a lot of people are doing them, especially in like a tri. Most of the ones that come out are almost more like triangles, either in or out. I can't really think of anything else that's doing, I'm sure there are, but doing like these hammer style arms that are also really thick, like really big, thick, chunky, heavy spinner. You know, the brass weights in there put more of that mass on the outside. So this is going to give you that heft, that weight, and part of that goes to the quality feel of it. Just feels like a good spinner. I think it's really good for the value. I don't know if I would really consider paying that much more for it, because it is kind of a unique piece, but it kind of fills a unique role in a collection. You know, some of my other spinners, you know, you look at the Tri-Thrax, and I find that competes for kind of the same space, even though the weight's very different from like a Very Dapper and a Stealth Aventador. You know, where you've got those kind of triangular arms with a weight on the outside. Again, even though they feel very different in a lot of ways, they're very similar. This is very similar to an Aventador in the sense of like it's got some of that heavy weight and that mass on the outside of the arms, but just the feel of it, it's very unique. So let's bring it up for a close-up and then we'll wrap this guy up. So really nice edges. Like the look of the brass weights, right? It's got a very cool, unique look. No mistaking this guy. Nice edges, nice bowls, reflects the light nice. Just a really good spinner. Really happy with this guy. So yeah, in-depth Triton Hammer of God review after having it for a while, EDCing it. I've definitely carried this for at least 5 or 6 days in the past couple weeks since I've had it. And this is actually also one of the favorites showing off to people. So there's you know, people that maybe, you know, you work with or aren't sure about spinners, show them this. If you're trying to convince people, while I said this isn't a great first spinner to actually buy, I think, and to use, it is a great one to show off. People are impressed when they see this thing. Oh, wow, it feels so heavy. I thought they were all just these cheap plastic ones. Like, this is one you can pull out and show off. That's what she said? Oh, look at that. That's kind of a cool effect. That is one thing I really like about this as well. Because these arms are actually kind of concave, but yet we've got this reflection coming at the end, you get these cool little ring patterns on the edge, where you kind of see this flat side rotating around. So, yeah, neato spinner. Thinking about it, pick one up. You won't be disappointed. How's that? How's that for a review? Get it! Wish my hands were steadier, guys. Hammer of God, y'all. Peace.